And can you make that faster? Yeah. Now that Hi everyone, I'm Dondi from FloraCraft. Thanks everyone for joining us. Today we are making this fun wreath for your front door for 4th of July. I'm going to show you how to cut out your own stars, glitter your own stars, and get you some florals for your front door. So let's get started. Here are some of the things you will need today. This is our 12-inch extruded wreath. For this wreath, you could use either white or green, comes in both colors. Green we have, it's just a nice backdrop for florals, and white is just a blank canvas for whatever you want to do with it. So today I'm using green. You're also going to need a sheet of white CraftFōM. This is our 12 by 18 by 1 inch, so it's not real thick. You will need that. Also found to cut out our stars, these cookie cutters. They are multiple size cookie cutters to cut out some of the smaller stars. And then you will need a piece of poster board and pencil to make your large star. You'll just draw it on poster board and cut it out. So you'll need a pair of scissors to cut that out. Some of the florals that I found all these supplies at Michael's. I found this big, fun blue hydrangea. Can be any blue color, or you can group blue colors, blue flowers together to get that big mass of blue. You can just like group a bunch of blue carnations together if you can't find a large hydrangea. I found 3 roses to use today. These are quite large, probably about a 3-inch face on them. Again, it could be anything. They could be carnations. They could be any red flower that you like. And then I found these are kind of a spike flower, almost like an apple blossom in blue. But any spike flower or any elongated blue flower will work. And then I found these, and they're almost like a cherry blossom, I guess I would call them, in a medium blue. And same thing, any long flowing blue flowers will work for this. All right, and then to color your stars, I found these online on Michael's online. Bright red, bright silver, and then just a navy blue. So we're going to color our stars with. And then you'll need silver, blue, and red glitter to give them a little sparkle. To cover the wreath, I used this real metallic silver ribbon. It's about 1.25 inches silver ribbon. To do our bow, I just used a nice stripe. Could be red, white, and blue stripe. Could even be solid red, and then you could add some white to it. But I found this stripe at Michael's that I liked. And then some glitter blue ribbon, about 1 inch. Or you could substitute and do some polka dots if you want. It's all up to you. Then some options for cutting out, I will share with you. we'll start on, we can go to top down and I'll show you some different ways to cut out your stars. We go to top down, Felicia. There we go. All right, so first thing you're going to do is cut out your template out of your poster board. And poster board's nice because it's a little more sturdy and it's not going to tear up when you're trying to cut. So just lay that on your foam, get you some pins, and then you're going to want to pin these in at an angle towards the center so they're not sticking out where you want to cut. So push them in right at an angle towards the center of the star. And you're putting them in at an angle just so they don't push out through the back. I don't think I introduced Tony yet. We have Tony today on chat. So she is going to help you with any questions that you have. Ask me a question and she'll be sure that I hear it. So there's a few different things that you can use to cut out your star now that you have your template pinned on. You could simply just take a Sharpie marker and outline it and take the template off and cut it. This is just a basic house steak knife, but I just want to show you a few different tools so you can, if you don't have one or the other, you can find something that'll work for you. And you're just literally going to follow along your template and just start cutting it out. You want to use a sawing motion to cut through that foam. But as you can see, it cuts real nice with just a steak knife. Or this is actually a keyhole saw. It's a little sharper, it's a little faster. So if you have a keyhole saw in your garage somewhere, this is another great tool that will work for you.
So where do you find templates? We have someone asking about where to find a star template.
I actually just printed this off from online. I just found a free star template online and printed it out on my printer and traced it on a poster board and cut it out. But I mean, if you want to get a little artsy, you could even draw your own star and have them so that not all the points are exactly the same. You could have it a little fun. So that was the keyhole saw. This is probably my favorite. So this is FloraCraft's Clean Cut Cutter. And what it does is it heats up to very, very hot. So you don't want to touch it. It will burn you. And what it does is it heats up and it melts through the foam. So right here on the collar, you'll see a little dash and a little line. Well, the line is on, and this black collar actually turns back and forth. You don't push the button, you turn the collar, the black collar. So you turn it on, you wait 15, 25 seconds or so until it gets hot. You can actually test it on a scrap piece to see if it's ready, and it is. But with this, I like to hold my foam up a little. I don't know how good you guys are gonna be able to see this. It's gonna be. So what I like to do, make sure that your blade is 90 degrees to your foam, and you're just gonna follow along that poster board and use that as a guide. to cut it out. And what's nice about this tool is you don't have any rough edges. When this cuts through, it cuts through and melts, like seals it at the same time. When you get to the end, just slow down a little bit so you can make it around that tip. And then just follow that poster board pattern right along the edge. Keep your knife 90 degrees to the face of the foam. And this tool is great because you can also pierce into, like if you wanted to cut another star out of the center of the star, you could just, I'm gonna lift it up so you guys can see. This is probably about 11 inches. I don't know how you guys see how clean and nice and smooth that edge is that it just made. And then I'll show you what I mean about piercing. So if you wanted to go in, if you didn't want to come in from the center of your design, if you had something to cut out of the center, you can literally poke that right into the foam instead of starting from the side. And it doesn't go real fast. It's not a speedy saw. It's just more for intricate cuts, or like this where you want the edges sealed because you're going to paint it. What I say is if the blade is bending, you're pushing too hard. That blade should be straight. You're kind of letting it do the work. You're just letting it melt through. Just slight pressure. And you guys will get addicted because it makes a little crinkly, crackly sound. And it's really actually kind of, I don't know, that's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to do. So when you get done, you take your knife and just on a piece of cardboard or on a scrap piece of foam and just rake it through there. And that'll clean up the blade and take off any remnants of foam on there that are going to stick. So then once it's nice and clean, you just shut it back off. And it comes with this handy little holder. So you can place the holder on the table and lay that wand right in that holder so you're sure that it's not going to roll around and burn anything until it cools off. So that's our cutter. It's a fun tool. Fun because you can cut out anything you want, any shape you want. Really easy. All right, so for the smaller stars, this was the larger one that I did. For the smaller stars, I just use these cookie cutters. And they're metal. They're a little bit sharp on one edge. And they kind of have a folded sharp part on the other side, so it doesn't hurt your hands as much. But it is a little stiff. If you do have trouble pushing it with your hands, if you get a ruler or something to lay across there first, it won't hurt your hands as much. But we're just going to evenly push so that all the sides of the star go in together. Okay, and then once you get it all pushed down in there, I just start breaking off these outside edges. It'll come off easy. And then you just push it back through. All right, then you're gonna have this little bit of, where am I? This little bit of foam remnants on the edge of your star. You can literally just use your fingers because there's not much of it, and just rake it off there. If you have some bigger ones or some deeper ones that you want to get rid of, just take a scrap piece of foam and use it just like a sanding block. And that will take off all those little crumbs. There's one. And I think I did one of every size, and then I did 3 of the littler ones. So again, you just push them in. Make sure they push all the way through. Start pulling away some of this outside till it pops out. And then get it out of the cutter. Use your little sanding block. Clean up those little edges. Yeah. And these little stars would be cute. You could turn them in. You could do a bunch of them and make a garland. Would be cute. Put little skewers on them and stick them into plants or put them out in your yard. I don't know. So you just keep on making stars till you get as much as you want. I think you guys get the idea. Pop them out. Rub off all those little crumbs. So to color my stars that you see on my project, I actually used spray paint, I showed you. And I know that a lot of people don't think that you can spray paint styrofoam or our craft foam, but you can. The trick is when you're spraying, you want to hold that can like 12 to 14 inches away, quite a ways away. And what that's going to do is it's when it's up close, the propellants in the can are melting your foam. So if you hold it that 12 to 14 inches away, you're going to get a nice coat and it's not going to melt your foam. So then when I'll grab a glove and do a real quick spray. So it takes a little while for the spray paint to dry. So while it's, before it dries, you can actually use it as its own glue. So you spray paint. I'm not going to do the sides. I'm just going to do this top real quick. But what you'll notice is just the silver spray paint alone already looks like glitter on the foam because the foam has little cells that that reflect that metallic really nice. So while it's still wet and it's still a little bit tacky, you can take your glitter and add it to it, and it'll add a little more glitter, a little more fun, and it'll stick it in place because of that sticky spray paint. Then after this is all really, really dry to the touch, you can use a clear coat sealer and seal that glitter on so it's not going to flake off. And anytime that you use a color of a glitter, so like on my blue star here, I paint everything that I painted that I glittered silver, I painted silver. That way, if some of the glitter flakes off, it doesn't show a white spot or show a color underneath, it's still silver. So I painted my blue glittered star blue and my red glittered star red. So if it does flake off, it's not going to look funny and look like it's shedding glitter. Kind of hide it for you. All right, so after you get all your stars, and like I said, you'll want to do your edges and paint and glitter all your edges. Might want to do the back too. If you're worried about somebody seeing the back, I don't think anybody's going to see the back, but so you're going to want to make sure that it's all glittered, it's all dry, and while those are sitting aside drying, we can go ahead and wrap the wreath. So I wrapped the wreath in this fun silver ribbon. And to secure the ribbon to the wreath, you can either use a low temp glue gun. I found this at Michael's. It's just a CraftSmart brand, low temp glue gun. And the reason you use low temp with our foam is the high temp guns a lot of times will melt the foam. Or you can use these greening pins to pin on the ribbon. And that's what I'm going to do. So they're just a U-shaped pin for florals, used usually for like pinning on moss. You're going to want to put these in at a little bit of an angle so they don't poke through the front side of your wreath. And then all I did is when you pin it, just pin it at a little bit of an angle, coming at a little bit of an angle across the front of the wreath, and that will lay a little nicer. So every wrap is at a little bit of an angle. And every wrap overlaps just slightly. Where's everyone calling from today?
A couple people enter. We have Raleigh, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Harmon, New York City, Monroe, Texas, Middletown, Delaware, a couple from Virginia, San Diego, Brentwood, Long Island, and Philadelphia.
Fun. Well, welcome, everyone.
Ooh, we've got some more Virginia Beach, Ohio, all sorts of weather.
Yeah, we've had rain, rain, rain here in Michigan. So we want to remind everyone that it's being recorded. This class is being recorded, and it will be up on Michael's YouTube site in 24 to 48 hours. So if you miss something, you can catch it again. And if you're crafting along today and want to show us, we'd love to see. I think they put the hashtags in the chat. Hashtag make it with Michaels, hashtag FloraCraft. We'd like to see what you made or your interpretation of this craft. Fun to see all the different ways that people make it.
Hey, Dondi, this is Felicia. Can you tell me what ribbon that is you're using?
Yes, this is, it's wired, it's from Celebrate It.
Is it the lame wire ribbon? Or lame? However
Yeah,
it's pronounced.
I believe that
Gotcha.
is, it doesn't say that on here, but now that you say it, yes.
Thank you.
Like super, super metallic. Very shiny. And yeah, lame, is that how you say it? Yeah. Somebody will correct us, Felicia. So when you're done, you're just going to trim it off and pin it in place. All right. So since I already have my stars cut out and painted, now I didn't seal any of these that I did, but if they're on your door and they're gonna be, you know, moving around in the weather and all that, you're gonna want to seal them. So just so that it all stays nice for you. And it also seals the spray paint better onto the foam so it's not flaking off if it gets rubbed. So all I did was laid my star where I want it to be on my wreath. And then I just kind of peek under here, see where it's going to touch the wreath, and go ahead and glue it in place.
We have the question of, instead of using a glue gun, can you use silicone outdoor glue or any other glue to wrap the ribbon?
I don't see why not. Silicone would work. My little glue gun doesn't want to spit out glue today. All right. So once he is on there good, and I think we'll wait to add our red and our oil. So the red one, I liked kind of up off left corner. Where'd the blue one go? Yes. And the blue one I kind of had down below that. So just wherever, however you want them. If you want them, just position them however you want them on your wreath. Add a little glue to the back. And pop it on there. Now these don't have to be stars either. You could cut out like fireworks or like firecrackers, or I don't know, what are some other things you could cut out of home? There's so many things you could say. You could even with our clean cut cutter, you could even cut out words, you know, Happy 4th or the Wilsons or something, right? That's the beauty of our tool. You can do whatever you want, any shape you want. So I started adding florals. I added this big, yummy blue flower first. You're gonna cut it right off, give it a couple inch stem. Take that off, and then kind of bend it to the side so it's right flush with the back of the flower. And then you'll take your floral pins and put them right around that stem and into the wreath. And that's going to hold it in there for you. And you'll probably want to do a couple along that stem just to keep it secure. And also, you can add a little bit of glue in between the stem and the pin, and that will hold that pin into the foam for you. So that was the first one I put in. And then I added the 2 red roses to the bottom. And I like to group them. Another thing, if you don't want to floral pin, if you take your scissors and you cut a little hole or poke a little hole through that ribbon into the foam, you could insert that stem right into that hole and right into the wreath. instead of pinning. So that's an option for you. And if you can't find the color of flowers that you need, you can always buy white flowers or a lighter color of flower and use your spray paint, paint your flowers whatever color you want. So 2 red right there. And then we'll put this other red on top of this blue. Poke a little hole up there. And all you're doing is just cutting through that ribbon. You can insert it. All right. So then I used my spiky flowers. I'm going to cut these apart and use them separate. So whichever you're using, whatever spike flower that you found, or if you're using individual flowers, you can do that too. All you're going to do is just arrange them so that they kind of come from this outside and wrap around the, kind of make a curve around the outside of the wreath. And for these, I just use these floral pins and just floral pin them right in there to the side of the wreath. Like so. And we'll cut another one. And maybe have this one down here. At the bottom. And again, you're just following the curve of the wreath. And then I have another little piece. And maybe you want this one kind of coming in towards you, so it's coming out from the wreath instead of laying along the side. So you have a little depth. So again, I'm just pinning this in, and then anytime that you put a pin in, especially if this is going on a door, you should add a little dab of glue and just add the glue right in where the pin and the stem meet, and it'll keep it from pulling out on you. So these little guys can actually just add a little piece of glue, or a little bit of glue, and just glue those right to the front of the ribbon. And they'll hold. Does everyone do a lot of decorating for 4th of July? Are you already all decorated? All right, and then I just used this medium blue in the same way, and all I did was just use it to fill in around the wreath. Just add that third color, just for a little contrast. And these could be any color. You could even do these with, you could add a little white flower in there, would be cute. Sometimes the pins just don't want to go in through that ribbon. Maybe we have a little bit of blue up here. We could add ornaments to this wreath. I know we always have a lot of takers for lights. Be fun to put some little lights in here to twinkle at night on your porch. These I'm just pinning in here and there wherever it looks like I want a little bit of that color showing. Just cutting little pieces of the, I think they're cherry blossoms. I'm gonna call them cherry blossoms. Even though they're blue.
Add the light.
The little string lights with the battery pack, you could hide the little battery pack right behind the big star. And then I would just literally just string them kind of right, just weave them in and out of the flowers and just kind of let them twinkle right inside the flowers. I guess you could also put them, the little, I don't know if it'd be long enough to go all the way around the star. But I really think they'd be pretty inside the flowers. And they have a UV, I saw somewhere, a UV spray that you could use on your flowers to keep them from fading. And just keep filling in as much as you think you want in there. Getting pretty full. And another one down here. And just remember that anywhere that you put a pin, you want to secure it in. So it's not going to wiggle out of there for you. I think that's looking pretty good. Now I can show you a bow. So I started out my bow with this red and white stripe. This is about 1.25 inches satin ribbon. Could be wider if you find anything wider, or more narrow, and you could just use more tails of it, whatever you find. So you're just going to figure out how long you want your tail. This is about 8-10 inches I'm using. And then I always make a loop to the back. So you have your tail in the front, there's your loop. So we'll make a pinch. So you have your tail and your loop and your ribbon. So you're going to bring this side back to the center. Just make sure that your tails are even. And when you bring it to the center, every time you bring it to the center, give it a twist. Make another loop. Make sure they're about the same size. Bring it to the center and give it a twist. And what the twist does, I think, is it just makes it, gives it a little bit of a pucker, so it gives it a little life. It's not just flat. All right, and another loop. And another twist. And how many loops did I do? I guess just 4. So there's 4 loops on here. So you'll cut your tail so that it's the same length or a little longer. I like my tail a little off kilter. And then also at Michael's, you will find this tie or stem wire. This is 22 gauge, so it's real fine. And it works real nice for tying bows. So all I do is slide that under my thumb. Bring it back. Tighten it onto the wire and give it a couple twists. Now I like to leave one wire real long and one wire kind of short. And that's so I don't have to keep cutting my wire and adding ribbon. I can use the same piece of wire for my bow. So once that is done, we're going to add our next color. Is this glitter, probably 1 inch glittery, well, I can tell you, 7/8 of an inch. Metallic ribbon. And for this one, I just like to make the tails a little bit shorter than the red and white so that you can see it from behind it. And same thing. So you take your loop to the back, give it a pinch, bring your loop to the center, give it a twist, loop to the center, give it a twist, and when you twist it, just pinch it back with your finger or your thumb, and that holds it in place while you do your next loop.
Bondi, are you going to share with us a hanger option, or could you show some options for hanging if they don't just have a regular wreath hanger?
Sure, absolutely give you some options. So there's that, and then your center loop, you just make a little tiny loop and you wrap it right around your thumb for your center of your bow. And cut that off. Okay, and then lay this bow right in the middle of your red and white bow and bring this long wire right between the tails and thread it through the center loop of your bow. And twist it real tight. And that holds your 2 colors of bows together. So once you have them all fixed the way you like them, I like to do a dovetail bow. So you fold it in half and cut up from the corners, and it makes that cute little dovetail. You don't have to, I just like it. You could do them angled, you could leave them straight, up to you. All right, so you could cut this, this wire off and glue your bow directly to the wreath, or you could fold this wire onto itself. So fold it in half, fold it in half again, and you can use your wire to secure your bow onto your wreath. Oh, having a hard time here. You make make the little loop with your wire. You can use that and a floral pin. Slide a floral pin through there, and that can be your way that you secure it. Or you can just glue it in place. So there's your bow. So some fun ways to hang this wreath. I think ribbon would be cute. So if you took a piece of your, maybe even your silver ribbon, you could take a piece of this, cut it maybe a 12-inch piece. I would glue it right into a loop. So glue it right into a circle like that. So it's secured at the ends. And then fold that. So it's like that. And then you can just take and glue this to the back of your wreath and add a floral pin and then glue this floral pin in place. Oops, I poked it through the front. That's why I said to put them in at an angle so it doesn't poke through. So once you get it through that ribbon, there it goes. Right in there. And then that could be a nice hanger. It'd be silver. Or you could put the silver and then maybe even add like a blue to it too. Be kind of fun. Another thing, they do have this real heavy gauge wire at Michael's. This is 16 gauge. So if you cut a piece of this with your wire cutters, these are diagonal cutters from Michael's. It's just a wire cutter. I would cut maybe maybe about 4 inches and make that into a U shape. And then I would bend these ends up so it's like an L. So it's like that. And then put glue. You would probably have to poke holes because it's not going to want to go through that ribbon. But I would add glue to the bottom of these ends of these greens, and you can put that in there, and that will make a nice little hanger for you if you want to hang it just like on a nail. All right. Does anyone need to see anything else? Do you want me to show you anything else before we?
The small silver stars, are you adding those? So you have the
Oh, I
option.
do. I have
more
those yet.
more glitz, or you could leave them off.
You are right. So yeah, so I just wanted a little sparkle over on this side of the wreath. So again, with your you can use your 16 gauge stem wire and just cut 4 to 6 inch links, however far you want your stars to stick out. Now, because this wire is smooth, it doesn't have any texture, you will need to glue it into the stars or else it's not going to stay for you. It's so slippery, it just slides right back out. So you're just going to want to glue it in. So you'll put a little bit in each little stem in each star. And these can be any color. You could do them red, white, and blue. You could do them, of course, any color. So once those are all glued in and secured, then I just went and all I did was just place them around the outside edge. Put this larger one right here by the bow. And as long as it touches something, these little stars are so lightweight, you really don't have to push them into the wreath. You can just glue them right into the flowers. They're so light. So maybe one there. One more.
Brandy, we had a question. We had dowel rods on the supply list. What could those be used for?
Oh, the dowel rods, I used those for, I held my stars onto them while I was painting is the only thing I use those for. You can also use the dowel rods to, like what I'm using the stem wire for is the same thing that I would use the dowel rods for. So whatever you have, skewers, dowel rods, plant stakes, wire, anything you have. So these I just kind of tucked around the outside edge just to give a little sparkle around the flowers. And just here and there. And that's it, I believe. Does anyone want me to
Now you
want to
can
see
share
anything cut out again?
sneak peek of what's to come.
We could do that. So for next class, our next class is July 7th, and we are doing this cool summertime wreath, kind of fun, kind of tropical. And then what we'll do in the class is I'll show you how to very easily change out a few of the flowers and change it up a little bit to make it a fall wreath. So that'll be fun. Something you can keep up through the summer and into the fall with just a few changes. And then in July 27th, we're going to do this super cute teacher gift. So something that you can do with your little ones to give to your teacher this fall. That's another fun idea. Bring this forward. Look at that. Wouldn't two of them be fun? Does anybody have two doors on their house? No. I guess that's it. Are there any further questions? No further questions. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy your 4th of July. Bye-bye.